Yeah, nice.
Drop down menu. We're going to get into everything about the Texans Browns game this week. Browns, if you're good at like trigonometry or calculus or astrophysics, you can figure out how we clinch this week with a win down in Houston. So it is a possibility for the Browns to clinch this week. I don't have any of those degrees, so I'm not going to tell you how, but I just know that we can clinch this week. Maybe somebody else can tell us how. Before we get into everything, though, with this preview and how this game could affect the rest of the Browns season, remember, you can find us on Google, Apple, Spotify if you want to just listen. The socials are Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Tap the notification bell so you never miss any of the times we're going live, any times we're putting out new episodes throughout the week. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page. You get access to the private Discord, which is a blast for everybody. It's a good rate if you have kids and you got fundraisers, join the Discord. You pop that fundraiser in there. I guarantee you're going to make some money for the kids' fundraiser. We've been donating to some people's stuff this week. So it's just we've built like a really good online Browns community in there. Everybody gets along. It's a good time. We literally span the globe. It's pretty awesome. You get access to that Discord. You get an extra episode every week. You get to play fantasy football with us, which we're in the playoffs now in 4 different leagues, plus a dynasty league. We give away merch all the time. So if you want to hang out with us, you want to become a Dog Pack member, you want to hang out with the dogs all the time, make friends from all around the world, jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member.
Like you'll have to redo a little bit of your why John Nye or why Kenny Max here and John Nye is not, because the audio was not turned on for the open.
Well, thanks, man. All I see is I'm getting my chops busted for being late in the chat. But then if I'm late, I would expect to show up and everything be perfect. Basically, John's not here.
Show up to finish the setup.
John's not here for really, I don't know why. So instead we got Kenny Mack. Basically, if you want to know what I said in the intro and you didn't hear it, just go watch any other episodes I've ever done in the last 400. They're pretty much all the same. So again, the socials are Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google if you guys couldn't hear that part and you're new to this show. So we'll move into the game. Browns have a big game, have a chance to move to 10-5, potentially have a chance to clinch. I know it'd take a lot of help, but imagine thinking the Browns could clinch with 2 weeks to go despite all these injuries. I mean, if you would have told me 10 weeks ago we would be have a chance to clinch in week 15, I would have told you guys were crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, first time in my life, I would have said.
Well, is it so if we clinch before the end of 2 games early, would this be the earliest we've ever clinched?
In a long time. I mean, 2020, we clinched week 17. We had to win against the Steelers and Mason Rudolph to get in. So
I think the last time that we actually clinched this fast would have either been in 94 or 85.
Yikes.
I know in 85 we were 12-4 and we clinched early. And with Belichick, we were division leaders and we clinched early in 94. Those are the only times. Anything else that I remember, like 2002, 2022, 2020, it was like the last week. And even 89 was the last week. Because everybody in that season, everybody was like 9-6-1, 8-8. It was wild. Kind of like everybody's close this year.
Mm-hmm.
The division races this year kind of wild. It kind of sucks. I feel like if we get to 10 wins, we're already like an 86% chance to win right now. If we win this week, we got our chances of making the playoffs. It would take a pretty epic collapse to not make it. But it kind of sucks that 10 wins, we used to just basically, if you got to 10, you were getting in. And now it's it's not a guarantee getting to 10 because the AFC is just so loaded. I mean, in teams, to look at the parity and how much turnaround there is in the league from year to year, the Browns played a 4th place schedule this year. And we've only played, I think, 8 or 3 teams that aren't over 500. This is supposed to be a fourth place schedule.
Yeah, a lot of surprise
You know what I
teams
mean?
this year. Yep.
Like, so just the way that it's worked out. I mean, we talked about it in our schedule preview show. At least Justin and I did. I didn't think we had an easy schedule. A lot of people were just picking out easy wins left and right. And I thought even if we were completely healthy, like it was a tough road. And then we had all these injuries. So to see us still overcome all those injuries with a chance to clinch early, it's awesome. Heading into Houston, I had this game circled the last couple of weeks. Is like, this is going to be a tough one. I still think it's going to be tough, but we did catch a couple breaks in terms of CJ Stroud's not going to play. Tank Dell went out for the season a few weeks ago. Will Anderson's not going to play in this game. So the Browns did catch a couple breaks in terms of injuries that the other team are going to have. So that helps. And again, when I say that helps, I'm not happy they're hurt. It's just, as a Browns fan, we're going to take the breaks when we can get them, considering all the injuries we've dealt with. And you're not going to find, bigger CJ Stroud fans than us when he's not playing against the Browns. Right. Obviously, being big Buckeyes fans here. But I still think this is a tough game. When I didn't think I was going to make it to today's episode, I texted the guys what I was going to, kind of my thoughts for the game. And I said, this game I think is won and lost with the defense, if they can have a good road game this year. They might not have CJ Stroud, so maybe some of the explosiveness out of their offense isn't there. But Case Keenum is still a capable quarterback. I mean, he won a game for the Browns a few years ago. He pushed the ball as far down the field, but he can make good decisions and he can get rid of the ball. And Devin Singletary has been running the ball very well lately, and this Browns defense has struggled against the run on the road. So to me, this game is won and lost up front on the defensive line. If we can shut down Singletary and force them into third and longs and make Case Keenum try to beat us, and then we can let our D line and our edge rushers go to work on Case Keenum. Stroud's a lot more mobile. You're not going to get the mobile plays out of Case Keenum. Then I think that plays into our favor. But if they can come out and they control the clock and they can pound the middle with Singletary and he's going to go off for 100+ yards, we're going to be in trouble, I think.
That's my biggest concern. That's my biggest concern going into this game is Singletary's coming off a monster game. I'm pretty sure it was $170 and a touchdown last week. Huge game. And then, Anthony Walker's out. He had a knee scope, I want to say either yesterday or today, and now he's week to week. And he's kind of the heart of that linebacking crew. I mean, JOK is the stud, but I think that, the communication guy is Walker. He's the one that, makes it tick. So for me, I'm a little nervous there. But I think you're 100% right. I think this game is won on the defense. If the defense shows up and has a stellar performance like it is at home, I mean, this should be a very winnable game with Stroud out.
Yeah. So
I couldn't agree more. That defensive line, if they do the performance that they just had last week, which was just enough, that could control that line. I am very nervous about what you guys said exactly. Not having Anthony Walker there and being on the road has just given us fits. We just don't seem to play well without that guy. JOK did well without him in Denver, but the rest of the D-line looked lost. We also didn't have Denzel, which is great to have him, but that's where I'm super worried as well.
Yeah, so the defense, if you guys can see on the screen here, on the road they're giving up like 130 more yards per game in away games this year. And the whole thing with Anthony Walker that sucks is when he got hurt in week 11 versus Pittsburgh, I posted this on Twitter earlier, he missed most of that game, missed week 12. The Browns defense gave up their two largest rushing outputs on the ground by opponents in those two games, 172 and 169. So with the way Singletary's been playing and the way the Texans have been leaning on that run game when it's working to kind of alleviate some of that pressure off of Case Keenum, I mean, Singletary's been a beast in his starts this year. I think they've definitely moved away from Dameon Pierce. I think they're done with that whole thing right now, and they're feeding Singletary. The guy was nuts last week, like Justin said, and that is my main concern being on the road against that rushing attack this week.
Yeah, and I'm concerned with part of traveling on the road is I think we got to try to take the crowd out of it early. I know, like, we don't want to say team scoreboard watch, but they do. The Texans are in the race for their division still. They're very much still alive, and the Jaguars are playing without Trevor Lawrence this week. So if you're a Texans player, you're going like, this is a week to make up that game. Like they're playing without Trevor Lawrence, and we got a banged up Browns team coming into our house. Like, this is an opportunity to take a game and get back, tie it up for our division to potentially win the division. So they're going to come out with a ton of energy, and their fans are going to be into it because their fans know what they're playing for. They lost a couple games, so they're on the outside looking in right now on the playoff hunt, I'm pretty sure. So like, we're going to have to weather the storm a little bit. We can't come out and let them just start ripping off big plays, going 3 and out like 5 times in a row. We got to kind of weather the storm, kind of take it in the chin a little bit. I don't want to say taking the chin, but just don't let them run away with it early. And because I don't know how many 10-point fourth quarter comebacks can a team do? You know what I mean? Like,
well, we
I would like to,
them, 7 to 14 points like usual.
Yes,
absolutely.
I think what I said too. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
They're tied with the division lead. It's a 3-man race. Everybody's at 8-6, so it's not even like they're out of it. They're very much in it. And
yeah.
I mean,
so I said I would like us to limit the turnovers, as in like don't have any. But I don't know. I'm at the point now where instead of wishing we don't have any turnovers, I'm hoping we don't have any on our side of the field.
You know what I mean?
Or picks, like, if we're not going to limit the turnovers, which I just don't even know if we can expect that anymore, can we at least make sure they're not super untimely or at our own 10-yard line where, they're guaranteed 3 points as soon as they pick it off, or worse, they run it back for a touchdown. We're the worst team in the league in points off turnovers. Like, teams, I would reckon, I don't have the stat, I'm just kind of guessing, but I would say like probably 80% of the points teams have scored against us this year are off of turnovers. And 80% might be low. So if we can just, if we're going to turn the ball over twice, let's do it at the 50, and then make the tackle right away.
Right.
So at least they still got to go 50 yards, that kind of, because I'm done saying let's not have any turnovers. At this point, it's just kind of like, we're going to have 2, so I know Kenny Mack was talking a little bit before we came on here. They play a ton of zone, he was saying, which we'll let him get into that. I think that bodes well for the offense. Outside of Amari Cooper, I don't know if we have a ton of man beaters right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think Joe Flacco can thrive in just sitting back and finding the holes in the zone, especially if we can get just a little bit of time, which Batonio might play this week. And it sounds like we're at least going to have Ethan Posick back. So that should help.
They really get after the quarterback. They sacked the Titans 7 times last week. And when we played the Titans, we sacked them 3 times. Now, if they're going to be that aggressive without Will Anderson, I think we just get right in that screen game right away. Maybe a draw or like some kind of hard slants, just to kind of get them so they're coming up the field hard and we're taking advantage of it to minimize that pass rush. And then once that settles down, what we were talking about before we started is they play cover 6 and they play quarters, which generally is like a bubble style of defense, right? So there's kind of bend, don't break. And that's going to leave a lot of holes in the zones. So our guys just got to know where to go. And you guys have seen Flacco in the last 3 games. That guy can move in the pocket enough, and then he can basically get the ball where it needs to be. And he's throwing to a point. So if they're not there, that's where these damn interceptions come from, and they result in pick sixes. So we need Tillman, we need Bell, and we need those younger guys. We need them to wake the hell up and be in those zones, because that ball is going to come. So don't whiff on Flacco, because that ball will come your way if it's open.
You mentioned Tillman. I like what the Browns have kind of done with him the last couple of weeks since the DPJ trade. He's been kind of commanding the middle of the field, and I feel like for a long time the Browns have pretty much avoided the middle of the field. And, you know what I mean? Like, and you can get a ton of chunk plays if you're willing to go over the middle. And we got Tillman is a big body, strong guy, and I feel like he's kind of a commanding presence in the middle, which is then that's going to open up your outside stuff a little bit more. So I think they've done a good job with that, and I think he's really played well the last couple of weeks. I mean, his stats aren't like blowing you away or anything, but when called upon, he's made big plays. So I like what we've gotten out of Tillman. I don't expect us to be able to run the ball well this game. Again, like our yards per carry is awful. And if you really want to look at rushing yards and attempts, you have to add how many screens a game that we're throwing to either wide receivers, tight ends, or even the running. Those are our rushing attempts anymore. Like Kevin Stefanski he's using that short passing game as a run game right now because the line is so beat up and we just can't run the ball. We don't have a Nick Chubb who can turn a 2-yard gain into a 10-yard gain. We have Jerome Ford who can turn a 2-yard gain into a 1-yard loss. So it's just like we don't have that dynamic running game right now. And Kareem Hunt's been great in the short yardage situations. Like if you need a yard, Kareem Hunt's going to get you a yard. I don't know if he's been stuffed once since we've re-signed him, but the explosive plays out of the run game are just not there. I mean, every once in a while he'll break off like a 7 or 8 yarder, and then he gets called back for a bullshit hold. Yeah. So if you're one of these people screaming about running the ball and pounding the ball and all that good stuff, like you have to understand these wide receiver quick screens, these screens to Njoku, these are just an extension of the run game anymore. This is just Kevin Stefanski adapting and adjusting to his personnel up front and realizing just getting an I formation or in the shotgun and running the ball, you're looking at second and long every time if we do that. Like I think he's doing a really good job of mixing it up, that screen game to use as an extension of the running game.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Bitonio, iffy, is questionable going into the weekend. But it does look like, like you said, Posick play or practiced in full today, so he should be good to go. But we're looking at least 3, if not 4, out of our 5 starting linemen are going to be backups this week. And that does not bode well for the run game. We've seen that. And we were talking before the show, the Houston Texans have the number 6 rush defense in the NFL. They only give up 93.5 yards a game. So do not expect any sort of rushing output from the Browns in this one. They're 25th in defense against the pass, though. They give up almost 240 yards a game. So this is going to work out if things go well and we don't turn the ball over. What they do well on defense and don't do well kind of goes right hand in hand with what we can't do on offense and what we can do, because I expect another 300-plus game from Joe Flacco if, things go the way they have been.
Yeah, I do
too, because with Njoku, I don't think we're going to see a lot of screens from him. I think he's going to be doing a lot of button hooks and he's going to be doing a lot of outs, right? He's going to be going out. He's going to read the zone, right? He's probably going to get another 10 catches and he's just going to settle down in those. And Flacco's going to have that ball there already. Then other than that, they got to take the top off. And the one guy that we haven't mentioned yet is Marquise Goodwin. If that guy gets 1 or 2 bombs, man, that's going to make a world of a difference for us. And it looked really good last week. How they do it against this defense, I'm not sure. But with their ranking, it's probably going to happen.
So I think Marquise Goodwin needs to get more run at wide receiver right now, just because him being on the field opens it up a little. After we hit that bomb to him, the offense looked completely different. It took one. And I'm not even saying you have to complete it, but if he goes out there and he runs a couple deep routes and we take a shot or two just to show that we're willing to do it, that's going to soften up the coverage. And you saw he connects on one deep ball last week, and all of a sudden that we look like the 2015 Broncos throwing the ball in the fourth quarter or whatever year it was. So I think you got to put him on the field. I'm not saying he needs 45 offensive snaps, okay? But the dude needs to get 10 or 15, in my opinion, especially if we're going to throw the ball 45, 50 times. Just that threat of him being on the field is going to help loosen up that underneath stuff. For the first 3 quarters, they were not scared of our downfield passing attack at all. They were sitting on every single route. Even if we could complete a pass, they were on us like white on rice. Like there's no opportunity for yak because they're just sitting on routes. Not afraid of anything deep. We hit one deep ball to Goodwin. it's all different. Amari Cooper gets a couple deep passes, scores on the one. So I think Goodwin needs more run. The Browns are in desperate need of speed on the field. He's got to get run out there. Call me crazy, but I feel like we're going to see a trick play out of DTR in the not so distant future. Like 2 weeks ago, he came in and it was 2 straight quarterback runs. Like he takes the snap, sweeps. Last week he comes in and throws the swing pass. They're just waiting for that time where it's going to be 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. And we're going to bring DTR in, and everybody in the world is going to think this is going to be a quarterback sweep to DTR because this is what the Browns have done ever since Flacco became the starter, and DTR just kind of became this little couple play package guy. They've just been running quarterback sweeps with him, and where he's going to take the snap and he's going to fake a quarterback sweep or something. It's going to be some kind of trickeration or pass play out of that. So just wrap your heads around that now. If it happens this week and it's 4th and 1 and we throw for it, guys, like just know it's coming. And I think we have to be creative. The offense is at such a disadvantage in terms of personnel right now up front and in the running back room. And I know Flacco's playing great, but he's still our 4th quarterback. You know what I mean? Like he's a long way away from being our starter. I think now is the time to get creative. I'm not saying to come out and run the annexation of Puerto Rico on the first play and on the 3rd play run the fumble Rooski. But if we're having a hard time moving the ball and you need a spark, like I have no problems with opening up and emptying the playbook a little bit this week because sometimes that's what it's going to take. And just the threat of that a little bit can help open up than your more standard regular offensive plays. So I'm fully expecting some kind of DTR 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 bomb or throwback or something out of that package that we haven't done yet that I feel like Stefanski's been setting up for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think
how about we get Pierre Strong to get like more than 2 carries? How about that? That'd be nice.
I wish.
I don't know what's going on there. Why he can't get on the field. My only thing is that he has to be awful in pass pro.
That's
that he can't get on the field more because he looks like the most dynamic running back on our roster, but he can't get the ball. I don't. That is something that is. I haven't been able to figure that out. The pass protection thing is the only thing I've been able to figure out.
Yeah.
Great.
One thing that is going to help us on offense, I think Justin might have mentioned it at the top, like Will Anderson Jr. is not going to be in the game, and they won't have Blake Cashman either, who's their leading tackler. So that's huge for us on offense to have those 2 guys out. And then I just wanted to highlight, though, like their cornerback, Derek Stingley. He's either a 2nd or 3rd year guy this season, and he's pretty good. He's a pretty good cornerback. That'll be an interesting matchup. I'm sure he'll be somewhat with Amari Cooper, who, by the way, I wanted to mention, Amari Cooper is just 15 yards away from being the first Cleveland Browns wide receiver ever to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
And he's doing it with 4 different quarterbacks this year, and he did it with Jacoby Brissett for 11 games last year.
Yep. Unreal.
That's insane.
I don't think there's any way you can let Amari Cooper go this year.
No way. No way.
I think we desperately need to add a running mate to him. Somebody with some we need a big play guy. Like Amari Cooper he's a 1. Okay. I truly believe Amari Cooper is a 1, but we need a dynamic guy opposite him, like just a freak athlete. I'm not saying like you can just go get a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson guy. Like those guys don't grow on trees, I know, but like we need somebody to put opposite him that is also a guy like they get to game plan around a little bit, like a T. Higgins. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of talk about he'll look good in brown and orange next year. I would 100% take that if he ends up not getting paid down in Cincinnati. So, but yeah, there's no way you can let Cooper walk. He fits the mold of this team so well. He's like the Nick Chubb of wide receivers. Yes. And he fits the culture, what the Browns want to do, like whatever it takes. Next man up, just go to work. You don't have to talk about it, just be about it. Like, I don't think you can let him go. I think he's important to the locker room. And we've seen, 2 years in a row, he never gets talked about when you talk about like the best wide receivers in football. And I'm not saying he's top 3, but the dude's definitely like in the top 10 range. And you don't just let that walk out the building.
He's got the respect of the players. You can tell it by the way they talk about him. I agree they shouldn't let him go. And he just does. He's the best route runner.
Yeah.
in the NFL. Period, man. Like he just gets open. He says he's always open, and he pretty much is. Now this year, whether he catches it or not, that's a different story. But for the most part, he's been awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think some of that was the DTR. Like Blake said, 4 different quarterbacks plus DTR had the one velocity, and you saw drops across the board. I mean, when Amari Cooper's out there dropping 2, 3, 4 passes a game, it's like, what the hell's going on here? Now, David drops a few here and there, but, that was the problem there too, and they weren't the only two guys. Ford couldn't catch a pass. Like, DTR was a tough quarterback to play with.
Amari Cooper actually talked about that. He got asked about Joe Flacco and stuff, and he said he just throws such a catchable ball. And they asked him what that was about, and he said it's not necessarily just a good spiral. What Amari Cooper touched on was the fact that Joe Flacco is quicker with his reads. So because he's quicker with his reads, he's getting rid of the ball on time, and because he's getting rid of the ball on time, he doesn't have to just throw a 99-mile-per-hour fastball. He can throw a nice, soft, catchable ball because he got through his progression a half a second sooner, and he doesn't have to just try to whip it into the window because he was a second late getting to the read. So he actually was asked that question, and he talked about how Joe just he kind of touched on, like, this is why we were dropping passes, and we kind of talked about that. And when I'm a professional wide receiver, they want to catch I think they should catch every pass. They're a professional wide receiver. But at the end of the day, they're thinking about their route, yards after catch. They got 220-pound safeties barreling down on them. Like, throw them a ball that's make their job easier. You know what I mean? So, and we talked about that as being part of being a good quarterback is throwing a catchable ball. So Joe Flacco's come in and done a really nice job of that, and which is why we all kind of wanted to see him play anyways, just the experience factor. It's not that we think like DTR isn't going to be good one day or isn't a better athlete or a bust. It's just with this roster at this point in the season, you need the guy who has been there, done that, and has seen it, and he's not going to, panic in the moment. So he actually talked about that. So
that's the best ball that I've seen in years. Like, he is amazing, and he's throwing it to a point like he did with Amari on that 50-yard touchdown. I just haven't seen Browns quarterback do that. And hopefully the quarterback room's taking notes, because I want to see more of that stuff coming out of our quarterbacks in the future. And I just think this is amazing. And I can't believe I'm cheering for this dude. Like, pigs are flying outside my window right now.
The hell is frozen over.
I absolutely hated him. I mean, what's next? Ben Roethlisberger retires and comes and plays for the Browns? Like, holy crap, man.
I feel the same way too, man. Like, I talked so much crap about Joe Flacco for his entire Ravens career. I thought they were crazy for giving him big money after the Super Bowl, because I thought Anquan Bolden bailed him out so many times. I thought the dude in Denver blew his coverage, or else they never even would have won that Super Bowl. And I talked so much crap on this guy just for him to turn around. And it's not even just the fact he's playing well. It's just the fact he just seems like a good dude. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like he fits the Cleveland culture so well. I never in a million years would have thought that I'd be rooting so hard for Joe Flacco.
No doubt.
It's been
no
awesome.
doubt.
I got the shirt. The shirt's on the screen right now. Just added this to the shop the other day. The dogspodcast.com/shop. Wacko for Flacco t-shirts are on sale. So
Yo,
get them.
Yeah.
Let me go get my credit card right now. See ya.
But well, I think we pretty much touched on everything in terms of previewing anything we missed, guys, or chat. Anything else we need
the
to
only
get
other
to?
thing that I really wanted to just mention was, we've been detailing a lot of this Myles Garrett getting held stuff, and this week will be interesting because he's not going up against anybody's backup. He'll be out there probably at times going up against Laramie Tunsil, one of the best tackles in the league. So it'll be, I don't know. I need to see how that matchup plays out. Is Tunsil out there, choke holding and horse collar grabbing Myles, ripping him down by the face mask and ankle tackling him, or is he actually getting his blocks on him, or is Myles beating him? That's a matchup I want to see.
That is, before we get out of here, I wanted to touch on it. So we put out a couple things on like our Twitter and stuff like that, talking about the officiating, and people are like, this happens all around the league. Guys, we aren't saying that Myles is the only elite edge rusher getting held.
Correct.
We're saying it's bull crap for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I understand TJ Watt gets held a lot. I don't think he should get held a lot and not get it called either. Same with Micah Parsons. Like, but we don't talk about the Steelers and we don't talk about the Cowboys. We're a Browns podcast. So obviously we're going to focus our argument about the officiating on what's going on with Myles Garrett. But we understand it's not just a Cleveland Browns problem. But what's funny is that Myles Garrett can play an entire game and not get one holding call drawn, but there's video evidence of egregious ones. And I understand too, holding happens all the time. You could call a holding every play. That doesn't mean you can never call it.
And this isn't typical holding, like you're saying.
Yes.
He's getting just absolutely tackled out there.
Like, if a guy's being grabbed by his horse collar and tugged so he doesn't get a sack, or the running back is wrapping him up around the knees, like, that's not a hold. Those are the egregious ones that need called. If the guy's up in his pads and he's got a hold of his jersey, no, I don't expect that to get called. But we have to at least call a couple of them a game. To have Myles Garrett not draw one holding call, that's like Tyreek going games without getting a defensive pass interference called against him. It's not realistic. They're holding, they're grabbing. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be better. That the video, and there's been so much talk online about it. Like, you have to think the officials, somebody's got to be in their ear a little bit this week. Like, hey, you got to throw at least one, or there's going to be riots. Because
probably not, bro. But they're just going to keep doing it. Just go with the flow.
It's bad. It's been really bad. And supposedly I heard, I didn't verify to see if it was true, but like Stefanski has put videos together of all the holds and sent it to the league, and just nothing.
Roger Goodell was there. Like, what the hell is that guy doing? Does he even watch the game?
No, he counts his money and thinks about what other countries in the world we could play football games.
He's like Ebenezer NFL Scrooge, man, just sitting on his pile of money and like doesn't give a shit. Like, that guy's brutal. Brutal.
He's one of the most hated men in America to me. I hate him.
What sucks for me is that by not calling and like you said, holding happens every play. I get that. We're talking about the egregious ones. By not calling these things, the horse collars, he gets face masked. I mean, you're not going to call these things against Myles. Guess what these tackles are going to do? They're going to keep doing that, and they're going to do worse and worse things. These edge rushers are going to start getting injured. And in a league where you really want your stars on the field, I get it. You want to protect the quarterback as much as possible, but you need to protect your other players too. This is getting ridiculous. If you don't want a pass rush against your quarterbacks, then just play 7-on-7 and call it a day. It's getting ridiculous.
That's probably why his shoulder's injured. Somebody probably grabbed his shoulder or whatever it was, or grabbed.
That is why he got hurt in that Denver game. We have those pictures online too.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, it's BS, man.
It's terrible.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up. We like to keep these ones nice and sweet and short. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Friday night. I know you guys could be doing about a million other things, maybe finishing up your Christmas shopping if you're a little behind the 8 ball like I usually am. Yes. But we appreciate you guys being here, spending your time with us, watching this preview episode. Again, intros on the show, thedawgspodcast.com. Tap leave voicemail. Look for us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And jointhedawgs.com if you want to become a Dog Pack member. You can also find our t-shirts, the Wacko for Flacco and the Whatever It Takes t-shirts on our t-shirt shop off our website. So if you need some last minute Christmas gifts, I'm sure you'll get them sometime in January. But we appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully everybody has a good, safe Christmas.
Yes.
Hopefully we're celebrating a Browns win come Tuesday when we see you guys live on YouTube talking about the Texans, and we're also going to squeeze in a Jets preview that day. And then coming next Friday, a week from tonight, we're going to have a live episode. Kenny Mack's going to be in studio. He's coming down to the United States for a week. So
my Jets present, and there's going to be a big W in it, and we're going to clinch a playoff, and I'm freaking excited, man. Cleveland's going to be pandemonium.
Yeah. Woo! So make sure you guys are have a good holiday. Make sure you guys tune in on Tuesday and again on Friday. We got a couple good episodes coming up for you guys. Again, thank you for being here. Have a good Christmas, and go Browns.
Go Browns.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Go Brownies.
Ho, 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 ho.